What's up guys, Invisible Jiu-Jitsu. Lucas is helping out. I remembered his name this time. We're going to go through some concepts and principles of escaping scarf hold. We're going to talk about the switched hip position in particular, but a lot of these concepts are going to apply to regular side control and even reverse scarf hold. Gi, no gi, it's not going to matter. Okay? Now of course I'm going to show you some techniques to illustrate these principles, but I'm going to give you a framework for escaping. Okay? So, scarf hold. Whether it be modified or it be true scarf hold where he's holding around my neck, okay, it's going to be a lot of the similar same sort of concepts. Okay, come back. Now, side control in general, the escapes that I tend to choose are dictated by a couple of things. Mainly, which way his hips are facing. So whether his hips are facing headwards, whether his hips are facing down, regular side control, or whether his hips are facing towards my legs, reverse scarf hold. And then along with that, we have whether his hips are high up my body, or whether his hips are low down my body. Okay? Because the types of escapes that I can do when he's controlling my hips are very different to the types of escapes I'm going to do when he's controlling my upper body and my head especially. Okay? Because if he's controlling my head, in general my hips are free. If he's controlling my hips, in general, my head and upper body are going to be free. Okay? So we're going to do different escapes depending on that. This video, we're going to cover the hip position where he's facing my head, scarf hold, and we're going to look at high and low and the kind of principles that I'm looking for. Now, in general, I want frames and I want my arms to be safe, okay? Because frames are going to allow me to generate force with my arms against my opponent, and they're going to allow me to protect myself from attacks, okay? What Rukash wants is to dominate both my arms here to keep his head nice and low. A very common thing when demonstrating scarf hold is to have your head in the air because you're talking to the camera. Really, he's going to be down here, not so much that his weight is compromised, but he's nice. And now I'm going to struggle to get any of my frames here, okay? In general, I can get both my arms down, I can get this arm framed, or I can get this arm framed. Now, worse for me is to have neither frame. Yeah, both arms are killed here. He's lifting up this arm at the hips. I can't frame his hips to create any space, and I can't frame his upper body to relieve any pressure. Given the choice between only having this frame or only having this frame, I'm going to choose this one. Okay? Because if he tries to attack my neck, my body, I can actually do a lot of manipulation of his posture and of his weight and of his movement with this arm at the hips. You know, very common is to try and wrap this arm and walk around to armbar, attack the neck, but he's not able to do that if I'm able to create any space here. Even if this arm is dead here, I can still quite effectively escape from these positions. Now obviously if I can have this frame as well as this frame, he tries to pressure me now, this is incredibly useful and opens up more sets of escaping options. We go back. So, at any point, if I feel like he's just not holding on to me, I'm going to get my frames down. Okay, I'm going to get my frames in place. This one first, this one followed, but I'll take what I can get. Yeah, if he's just up here relaxing, well, I'm going to frame. Okay, if he's not holding onto my arm, I'm going to pull it down. Okay, I'm going to talk about principles in a second of getting this arm into place if he's not giving it to me, so stick around for that, because it's not something I see taught very often. When I bring this arm in, I want to avoid doing stuff like this. Because I'm going to get caught against the good guy. Even if it's just a small motion here, bringing that in front of his face is super common for him to wait for that and to start attacking this arm. Okay? Whether it's pushing it straight into Americana or out into armbar or round into Kimura, it's always there. So what I'm going to do instead is make a knife hand. He's going to be a bit lower. If he's super low, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm going to struggle to get this in, but if he's kind of here, I'm going to drive it in across his throat. Look, he tries to catch that hand, yeah, and I can hide it in his armpit from here as well if he tries to cross, right? That's another big thing here, is I leave this dangling, and he, instead of catching, he will wrap it, take this arm out of position, and now I'm really in danger of arm locks. So anytime I'm framing, even if I'm framing and I feel that he loses, lets go of control of this, I know that he's probably going to wrap this arm, and I hide it in his armpit. From here, he's now not holding this arm, and I can get frames. And from here, now I control his hips. He cannot follow me. He cannot keep the distance close. I'm going to start my shrimping escapes. And there's arm bars and things if he stays in that position. I've made a video previously where I've talked about framing with the lower portion of my forearm here. It's a better frame than framing with my wrist, where he's going to pin my wrist to my body. The only difference, the only downside to that is I have to be aware of him pushing my arm into an arm triangle, like push with that right hand here, and then he'll wrap. So if he push on my elbow with your right hand, and then reach through here, reach through deep, here, there we go. I have to be aware of this. So I know if he goes to push, I can always go heavy on this elbow and make life very difficult for him. But the further I go through, especially if you've got long arms, the more this arm is hidden. And then when he goes to wrap, getting that arm into the armpit, that hand into the armpit can be extremely difficult. So it's a balancing act. And I have to realize that when he goes to wrap, that I need to be finding that armpit, and then I can go to my tricep push escapes and things from there. Now, because he's nice and high, when I get my elbow down, my hips are very, very free. Okay, because he's controlling my upper body, the hips are a lot freer to move. Now, to get this arm down, if he's not just giving it to me, I have to change the plane in which I'm pulling my elbow down. Because if we change now here, you'll see that his leg is underneath my elbow. So even if he lets go, it can be difficult to pull my elbow down. I need to create a lot of space here to get my elbow in, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the direction in which I'm pulling from straight down to into him. So I connect my hips to his hips, and I'm going to bridge and arc along the ground. Okay? We just spin. So I'm here, he's holding on nice and tight. I connect my hips to his hips, and now I bridge sideways along the ground, and I pull my arm underneath me. Once my arm is here, I'm immensely strong. Try and pull my arm back out. Okay, this is not going back out, and then I'm going to frame and probably begin my escaping system from here. Okay? If he's low on the hips, again, now my hips are much better controlled, but I have free access to his collar. Even if he tries to hide his head here, it's very difficult to stop me in this position. Even if he's dominating this arm here, now I can use my bridge and collar work to start freeing myself. The other option, when he's high, not controlling my hips, again, is to use my legs against his head and pendulum him. Thinking about where his base is in this position, he has absolutely zero base straight backwards. But that's a weak motion for me. That's like you trying to use my abs to sit up against his whole body. If he resists now, I'm not going to be able to do this. So what I have to do from here is walk myself out of the way so that I have a bridge into that direction. And that's not always going to work because, again, he's strong. Even if I'm framing and lying him back as much as possible, it might not work, but I can swing my legs and use my legs to finish off the last portion of the movement. Okay? So, there's some basic concepts of what I'm looking for in a scarf hold position, whether he's high, whether he's low, and the kind of things I'm going to do against him from there. But in general, safety first. Now, as always, we teach, you know, how to get out of the worst case scenarios. General thing would have been not to have let him get underhooks, not to have let him control my head, but that's very wishy-washy to teach. If you want to see a video on that, I can make my own video on that, but it gets kind of stupid. Okay, thanks very much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.